God, seeing this stuff in the theater is just like he just brutalities them all. He's brutalitying them all. Two beautiful people just trying and semi-successfully kicking each other's asses. Just Fa La Chen. That's it. That's the commentary. Fa La Chen. Fa La Chen and Tony Leung. Yeah. God damn it. That look on his face. That look on his face as soon as he realizes, oh, she can handle me, and she can handle her own. Yeah, she can control the rings too. She can control them. I love that too, like the difference in color kind of combination with each of the wielders. With him, with Ying Li, and with Shang Chi in the present day too. And I've always wondered if that's like if that's a symbol of either them, if that's a symbol of their kind of mindset when using the rings, or if it's a symbol of their connection to its power. The young Shang-Chi in this actually did a really phenomenal job. Yeah, all the flashbacks with him were actually really great.
Please, get in. I'll go slow.
She did not go slow. She did not go slow.
And start screaming the lyrics to
Hotel California.
What? It's the art of confusion.
Katie, you're a valet driver with an honors degree from Berkeley, and Sean can speak like 4 languages.
Oh,
You've
God.
always been...
be responsible, go to sleep.
Yeah, we can be responsible. We can do that. Or...
Karaoke night. Karaoke night. Best friendship goals. Best friendship goals.
Mama, I can't work on
That kid is playing Zuko in The Last Airbender live action. Yeah, he's gonna play Zuko. Yeah, I just found that out like yesterday. Like I saw the picture, but then someone actually said, "Oh yeah, he plays Katie's brother in Shang-Chi." So.
Did my daughter apply to any new jobs this week?
Again, hits hard for Asians. Hits very hard for
My
Asians.
goon didn't move here from Hunan so you could park cars for a living.
Katie and Xialing. I'm saying it right now before she even shows up. Katie and Xialing. Katie and Xialing.
Come on, bro!
Bad choice. Oh god damn. Here we go. Again, the choreography in this movie. Sweet Jesus. Just the way he puts the jacket back on too. It's like a double-sided jacket as well, like inside and out. Yeah, same stunt coordinators as Jackie Chan as well. Yeah, same people who worked with Jackie Chan. So very familiar kind of movements.
You got this, bro.
Even the way he scoffs, like, oh, you think he's got this?
My bad.
Oh, the laptop. Oh, the poor laptop. Her final paper. Her paper. Oh no, no. Hope you synced it to the cloud or something, or just backed it up.
I'm not gonna handle this. Every time I've tried to drive a bus, I get yelled at.
Oh god, just his even indoor parkour, indoor parkour, and not in the style of The Office. This is Shang-Chi style indoor parkour. God, oh, that whole bus stunt, Oh, here it comes, the power fist, here it comes. Such a cool shot. Oh, this one shot. Oh my god, this one shot. God bless the one-shots in the MCU. You know, I really wonder like how the Ten Rings Warriors would actually fare against like the Red Room Assassins too, because both are like, you know, assassin organizations.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
You changed your name from Shang to Sean?
Yeah, I don't.
A plus espionage. A plus.
I was 15 years old, alright?
I think it's actually Su Shang-Chi too, because the XU at the beginning too. That's the actual way to pronounce it, like Su Shang-Chi. My pronunciation's gonna be off. I just want to kind of put a disclaimer there now, like it's not perfect, but I've learned since the movie's come out. I have learned. I've seen people's responses on social media, and they have, you know, outlisted a lot of important details and things to remember. So yeah.
这里是他给我的地址。
You can tell he loves his job. You can tell he loves his job.
She's selling. Never heard of her.
He lied like a liar. Or maybe I don't know if she actually even used her real name here. If she actually used an alias, maybe. Is that a Red Room widow? Is she from the Red Room? That suit looks very Red Room. Oh yeah, yeah. Just a one hit wonder. And hey, good sportsmanship, solid sportsmanship. Yeah.
Start controlling those punches.
Katie discovering her best friend actually has muscle for the first time. Here she comes. Here she comes. Here she comes. Yes, get him. Get him. Get his ass, queen. Get him. Get him. All those years. Get your revenge. Whoop his ass. Oh, she's waited years for this. She has waited and trained years just for that move. That one move. And he lied, like a liar. Well, he wanted to, but then after he actually went through it, he just couldn't bring himself to come back. God, just that one round. It's such a swift roundhouse kick too. Such a swift, like she doesn't even actually need to take a run up. She just did one spin into the kick and he's out for the count. Ugh.
Hi, Xiaoling. I'm Katie. You're like such a badass. Everything that you do is like so cool. That was really cool.
I like your pants.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
I built this place on my own. I didn't need you then, and I don't need you now.
This reminded me so much of the Rush Hour 2 fight on the same bamboo stick kind of scaffolding. Reminded me so much of that. Hotel California.
Desert highway. Cool wind in my hair.
Worked temporarily. Worked very temporarily, but yeah, I think that guy wasn't falling for it. Oh yeah, definitely Rush Hour 2. Definitely Rush Hour 2. Oh, the way he punches the blade out the hand, no? Yeah, oh, he remembers. Yeah, he remembers. Oh, here he is. Here he is. Yeah. Oh.
But I watched everything they did and taught myself to do it better. If my dad won't let me into his empire, I'm gonna build my own.
Hell yeah.
The Mandarin. He gave his figurehead the name.
I mean, that's also like an actual dialect in Chinese
And
too.
it worked.
That is a dialect in Chinese.
America was terrified of an orator. The warrior king, Master Khan. He made
Master
his
Khan,
famous man
like
on
Genghis Khan.
for years.
Is he who Genghis Khan is based off of, or was he Genghis at some point in his life? I love this too. The actual kind of that
After
kind of
all those
parallel.
years,
Yeah.
I finally found something worth growing old for.
Oh, I love this. I love this so much. I love it. Oh God.
Your mother wanted us to live in Talo. She asked permission from the elders and they refused. They said I wasn't worthy.
Thinking about how much of this could have been different if they had actually accepted him, if they'd given him a chance to show them who he was after he met Yingli.
咱们一家人很快就能在一起了。
I think it's also like the dialogue too, like the Soul Eater knows exactly how manipulative it needs to be before it finally reveals itself too. Because even once it reveals itself, that dialogue is so much more explicit. But with this, it's like, you know, goading him into thinking it's actually his wife.
Trevor Slattery.
Trevor Slattery.
From Liverpool. Wait.
Morris. Oh, so precious.
Oh, where's his face?
He's a bit sensitive about that.
Well, he's beautiful even without a face. He's beautiful. Yeah. Look at those wings. So colourful. So shiny. Love
Dad has a tunnel
her.
system under the whole compound.
Hand, gloves, hand. There we go. There we go. Oh, there. Oh, there we go. That was so swift. That was Taylor Swift. Swift. That was Taylor Swift. Swift.
It's not a real pet. It's just acting. That's when I knew.
That's when he knew he wanted to be an
Didn't
actor.
teach those monkeys to act that brilliantly. Just imagine what I could bring to the world.
So you became an actor because you thought the monkeys were
Riding horses, I did. Yes.
Oh God. I mean, hey, if that's not motivational, then what? You know, what is?
How close is it? 5 meters.
In the pocket.
What is that in feet?
Really freaking close.
Will you just stop saying stay in the pocket?
Yeah, really freaking close feet.
Morris says, "Great job, everyone."
Morris gives you 10
All
out of
I have
10.
to do is go through that waterfall. Weird hole.
Yeah, he's just sadly judging you. You came here in that? Really? That busted up car? That is one mighty lion. That is honestly one of the mightiest lions I've ever seen in my life. Michelle Yeoh, Ying Nan. Ying Nan.
The realm of Talo stretches far beyond the shores of our small village.
Mm-hmm.
We have cities that surpass any in your universe.
Just like in literally another dimension too.
Culture and history.
Yeah, like almost like another dimension,
Thousands
like
of
another
years
universe.
ago, joined
I remember
by
thinking this was literally going to be Fin Fang Foom, but no, it's just a dragon. It's just a great protector,
together,
yeah, which is just as cool.
the
Yeah.
dweller and his
Oh, wow, yeah, just wow, it's like almost like earthbending, but it's like more kind of accurate to this.
I'm not gonna waste my time chasing something that will ultimately be a disappointment for me. That's not me.
I think that's also kind of like a mix of ADHD and also Asian kind of culture too. I used to think it was just ADHD, but I think it's just like a mix of the two. Yeah, at least that's my perspective of it. Yeah.
You are children of this family, and I welcome you home.
I love how despite how little she's actually in this, she's still just that she cements herself in this movie and in this story so fucking well. Like she is there for them. She is their aunt. She is their family, and she gets them ready for all this stuff. Despite like how little she's actually in this, she's still just so impactful. That's Michelle Yeoh's power. That's Michelle Yeoh's actual power to create and cement a character. Do your thing, Xialing. Do your thing. Do your thing, girl. And Katie in archery. Oh! Oh!
You saw that? That's tight!
Oh, Guangbo and Katie. Guangbo and Katie.
No, sorry. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, he's teaching them football. He's teaching them football too. Yeah, this scene too, from going from a closed fist to open hands. Yeah. Ah. He's a quick learner. But can he do this though? Can he do all the tricks? Can he do everything? God.
放了他们可以，但这个礼必须得有人。
I think it's definitely because of the fact that she didn't have the same power from Ta Lo that she couldn't really take them on, because that was what helped her handle someone as powerful as Wenwu with the rings. So with this, I mean, it still kind of confused me. Like she's still a great martial artist. She still is an expert martial artist. I think part of me feels like she still should have been able to handle herself, but then maybe for the sake of pain and for the sake of they had to give Wenwu something to, you know, bring his darkness back and set the story in motion. But I guess it's also the fact that she wasn't necessarily invincible either. Like she still could die, and there's like 6 of them and more to come. Even more come on later through. She still took a fair amount of them out. She still took out like a fair amount of them, but. The camera work in the scene too. The camera work in this scene was just, wow, top notch. Yeah. Oh god damn. God, he just uses them like rag dolls. He uses them like fucking rag dolls. Pretty sure he just fully crushed that dude's head. Like the force of the rings at that power. He just, you know, definitely dead. Definitely dead. That much is clear. A blood debt has to be paid by blood. And they both dressed up so dapper, so formally for like a full-on execution. Yeah. The almighty trio. The trio.
我们拒绝的人是你，你过去造的孽会毁了这个地方。
Yeah, that line too. Like, yeah, Wenwu is actually even older than Guangbo himself. Wenwu is older than him. Oh God. Oh. Oh, 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 look at her go.
Always running. Always hiding.
Oh, that hits hard. That hits very hard. Oh God.
You stood at a window and watched her die.
He was 8 years old. He was 8 years old. What was he gonna do? Oh, the rings. Oh, the rings. Oh.
She was gone, and we needed you. But you chose those damn rings over us. You trained your son to be a killer. Is this what you wanted?
The theme in the background. Oh boy. Oof. Oh boy. Ooh, like 5 or 6 rings. Oh. Oh.
快来救我！
See, now the dialogue is so much more vague. Now the dialogue is actually so much more like vague. It gradually becomes more and more vague. Instead of referencing him just being like, get me out of here, I need to start killing people. Oh, how mighty now. They're killing your death dagger dude. They're killing your dagger dude. Yeah.
We should work.
Yeah, maybe teamwork isn't so bad. Maybe teamwork isn't so bad. Yeah. Yeah, from you're not ready to just don't die. Just don't die. Yeah, we need all hands on deck, so just don't die. Make sure you aim, Katie. If you aim at nothing, you will hit nothing. So aim at the sky and you'll hit something. You'll definitely bound hit something, even Trevor being here.
你是妈妈的血脉，也是爸爸的。
He has the heart of the dragon. He is the real Iron Fist. He is the real Iron Fist.
自己的力量，去吧。
Time to go. No, this is the only real thing that deceased Yingli says in the movie. The only real thing. And she talks to her son. She talks through memories to her son to empower him. This, like a lot of this different stuff actually reminded me so much of Aquaman 2, like the lost son returning to the kingdom and actually riding the great protector, riding the great kind of the greatest mythological creature. Yeah. Yeah. The great protector rises. The great protector rises. Oh. Yeah. Oh, Xiaoling's got it. Xiaoling's got it. Oh god, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. Oh, a lion and a human working together in such synchronicity. Him finally utilizing his mother's techniques too. A beautiful reincarnation. A beautiful reincarnation. Is she gonna try and? I think does she try and ride the dragon? Does she, or does she just like save it? God, that is amazing reach as well. That is actually some really amazing reach. Yeah, all the way from down there. Xiaoling and the dragon.
Calm down, mate. I'm not dead. It's just a performance. Now get down here, play along.
Yeah, he's just a performer. He's not a fighter. He's a performer. Yeah. Yep, use those rings. You use those rings, yep. Oh, and it's gold. It's gold for him. It's gold for him too. Oh, a Hadouken. Oh, God. Or at least that, you know, comes somewhat later. Yeah. Yeah, it's so much less vague. Like now, it's just like, you know, get me out of here. I need to start killing people. It's just damn much more explicit. Oh, God, freaking damn it. Oh. I was actually sad to lose Wenwu. I was really fucking sad to lose Wenwu. Yeah, at the end of all this, I was really sad to lose Wenwu. She never even got to say goodbye. I mean, to be fair, that this is not the kind of like moment where you can really lose people and take the time to say goodbye to them. The mourning definitively comes later. The mourning definitely comes later. Oh god damn. Oh, that's just, yeah, the way they swing back onto the dragon, yeah. Oh, the rings and the freaking bladed lasso. That's the weak spot. That's the weak spot, the throat. Go for the throat. Oh, Guangbo, Guangbo, no, Guangbo. Oh god, that visual too, like the actual spirit and soul traveling along the dragon's throat itself. God, oh.
Not leaving you again.
Now's your chance to oh, Katie did that. Katie Ray Wen did that. Katie did that. That theme. That fucking theme. That theme. God damn. God freaking damn. Oh, so good. So good. Yeah. God damn. He literally blew up the darkness, the darkness. He literally blew the damn thing up.
We release them to rest with our ancestors.
This is honestly the first time I can remember any kind of Marvel or MCU movie actually paying respects to the dead like this. Yeah, I think it's to do with like Chinese tradition too, of like lanterns and respects. Yeah. If I didn't mention it before, if I haven't mentioned it already, I love the music. I love the music.
Sean's auntie, who's this awesome magical kung fu goddess.
And I'm hanging on to the great protector of my sister at this point.
I love how they don't hold anything back. They literally do not hold a damn thing back.
Such a nasty bitch.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, you were parking cars for tips, and you want me to believe you're now saving the world.
Yeah, this will happen in space for like 2 weeks. That is just some really crazy fucking shit for 2 weeks. Although Infinity War and Ragnarok also.
Shang Chi.
Yeah, Zhu Shang Chi.
Here, present.
Present.
My name is Wong.
I love that they don't even try with any secrecy. It's like the world knows about the Avengers, about all the stuff that happens. This is just another Tuesday. Yeah, magical ring portal opening up. Yeah, that's just another Tuesday. Thank you, Destin Daniel Cretin. You gave us something incredible. You really did. Oh, and this end credit sequence, yeah. Some really beautiful stuff. And I think it's exactly the same level of creativity and visual kind of artistry as the Black Panther 2, the Black Panther 1 end credits. Yeah. This one freaked me the fuck out. This mid-credit scene definitely freaked me the fuck out because of exactly who shows up.
I'm not sure.
Of course, human-looking Bruce.
You're not vibranium.
Not like any alien tech.
Carol back with her long hair again. She actually grew her hair out.
I'm so sorry. I have to deal with this. You can get my number from Bruce. It was so nice to meet you.
Welcome to the circus.
The craziest show, the craziest ride on Earth. Yeah. Besides from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., obviously.
Go home. Get some rest.
Or...
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah. See, Wong just needs some friends. Wong needed some new casual friends. He needs to relax. Wong needs to relax. After all the stuff he puts through, he gets put through. You know. Yeah. This definitely felt different. I think, especially in terms of actually trying to film this and trying to actually do this. Because this isn't a reaction, and almost the entire time, almost like for the first like half an hour, I was definitely kind of conscious of that. Like, this isn't a reaction, so it definitely kind of felt weird doing a rewatch in that sense too. Because I mean, I'm just so used to actually doing nothing but reactions for the channel. It definitely felt weird actually like reacting to something in that sense, like knowing I've seen it before. So and I'm pretty sure that kind of translated into the video too. You can definitely see like, oh yeah, this is definitely something I've watched before. So because I'm hoping it wasn't weirder or it wasn't really kind of lesser. I'm like, I definitely still enjoyed actually watching this again and actually being able to actually watch it a second time for this for this kind of purpose too. So hoping it wasn't really kind of weirder to watch or any lesser to watch than my usual stuff, but it definitely kind of offered up some new perspectives and definitely like reminded me of a lot of the things that I discovered after that track. That track right there. That track is just such a good track, yeah. To Shang Chi. That's the track's name. So but yeah, no, I definitely was reminded of like a lot of stuff, because I think after I watched the movie, and especially after I did the review too, I actually went online a bit more to see what social media reactions were like, and so many different people were sharing their own thoughts, but also sharing different tidbits of actual cultural information and actual kind of movie accuracy information too. And actually, I'm just like learning so much stuff about the names, the pronunciations, the different kind of Chinese cultural kind of traditions involved in this too. And I think and I think especially the fact that like this is being titled as like an Asian movie, which it is, China is a part of Asia, but then China is a part of Asia. There are other countries within Asia too, and I think a lot of people kind of definitely, like a lot more people have been calling this an Asian movie as opposed to like an actual Chinese American movie as well. So I think, people just kind of have a bit of a tendency to actually kind of just like bulk it together as if it's all one and the same thing, or if it's like as if it's all encompassing. Which I mean, some stuff is like certain traditions, certain aspects, certain kind of aspects of the upbringing, like the kind of Asian upbringing. I think that's just kind of applicable, or like throughout like most of Asia and throughout most kind of family dynamics and most cultures and stuff. But some stuff, I think at certain points it can also be important to make sure you identify it as, oh yeah, this is actually Chinese American. But then even as an Indian myself, I can definitely relate to the Asianness of this and different kind of aspects too, and different kind of representational aspects and different kind of visual kind of things kind of written into this. So I think in terms of overall kind of like Asian like representation, I love this. I was pulled into this almost immediately, and I was pulled into this in so well and so thoroughly and stuff, and it just actually did so much of what it actually pulled up to I didn't really recognize, and I didn't actually deeply recognize until afterwards. I was like actually reading through what other people were identifying, and other people were actually saying like, oh yeah, this is so reminiscent of this and that and the other, and I was like, wow, that actually makes it so much sense. That actually makes so much sense, and makes so much more sense after reading up on that stuff too. So seeing them being able to pull off like an origin story like this that's so traditional, so culturally kind of authentic and visual, and so culturally kind of rich, similar to Black Panther, so similar to Black Panther 2. It's just like, it's just, for one thing, it's proof that they can handle it and they can make a great movie with representation, and representation does in fact very fucking much matter. But also the fact that they can easily make a movie with representation and make it amazing to watch at the same time. So shouldn't really be any arguments combating that. So yeah, but this was just such a great rewatch and such a great watch overall, and just the way they pulled off this story, in it being like an actual like a story rich in family history and family kind of struggles and family kind of story as well, but also making it like an actual Marvel superhero movie too. They just did everything right. They did pretty much everything right, and can't really think of too many kind of complaints or kind of like any kind of gripes I have with this and stuff. And I think part of it could be also just me like not really looking for them, because if you look for it, then you might end up actually finding some, or like you might end up kind of it might end up becoming more like pedantic too, like you're just kind of hyper focusing on small details that you think could have actually been done better. But for the most part, they nailed this. For the most part, they absolutely fucking nailed this, and I really just can't wait to see what else they can come up with in the future. And yeah, just hoping a sequel will be greenlit soon. Hopefully a sequel will be greenlit soon.
They're waiting.
Damn right they are.
Let's get started. We have a lot of work to do.
Please, let's get started. Ah, finally, an equal 10 rings. An equalized 10 rings. Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. And she got Jeon and Razor Fist with her. The 10 rings will indeed return. They will return. And truth be told, right, I think a lot of people also did think that, funny you should recommend Iron Man 3. Funny you should recommend Iron Man 3 after watching this. People did kind of assume that for Disney Plus Day 2 that Marvel would actually release some kind of, like, there were rumors of an actual 10 Rings series centered around Xialing to be confirmed, like, to actually be in the works too, like an actual series around her and her work rebuilding the rings and rebuilding the organization and everything. But nothing was. I mean, to be honest, like, Disney Plus Day really didn't give us a lot. I think a lot of people were also expecting like some Star Wars stuff, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, or like a more less like sizzly and more like trailery kind of first look at Kenobi, but that didn't come. And then we got literally no more than like 30 seconds of footage for some shows. Like She-Hulk, She-Hulk looks fucking amazing, by the way. Like Tatiana Maslany, I feel like I need to actually check out Orphan Black. But Tatiana Maslany's She-Hulk, that one got released. Ms. Marvel, that one got released. Moon Knight. Like I think those three were the only ones. I don't think all of them live action too. Like those three were the only ones that actually got like a first look type of release thing for it. But everything else just got like kind of like new updated logos and new titles and everything. So just kind of confirming what they're doing, like shows that they actually hadn't announced before too coming to, but then also like kind of updated graphics and updated kind of first looks at shows that they had already announced and everything. But besides from that, it was kind of pretty. Like, I want to say underwhelming too, but I think it's also, underwhelming can be applied because I think for Disney Plus Day too, you would think, because I think for the Disney Investor Day, they actually did release new trailers for a lot of the Marvel Disney Plus series, and for the I think maybe for a couple of the Star Wars stuff too, like they had actually unleashed like a trailer for Bad Batch and like some other new titles coming out. So I think for Disney Plus Day, they did a lot less than they did for Disney Investors Day, which showcased all of what they were doing. But for Disney Plus Day, which was actually centered around Disney Plus itself, they actually didn't really give away like a whole lot, which you'd think that they would take full advantage of that, but then I don't know, maybe they've got other plans in terms of promotion or something, so I'm not too sure. But Xialing, there's been they haven't confirmed it, but they haven't denied it either. Like it's just kind of in the air, and people definitely do want it. Many people want it, and so that they are hoping that it will be greenlit and confirmed soon. But yeah, no, like they are just kind of in like waiting to hear that Xialing is returning, because then the 10 Rings will return, and now we know that the compared to what Shang Chi said, he said that she was actually there taking down the compound, and she was back at the compound taking down the organization, but now the post credit scene shows that she's actually taking over it, and she's taking it back under her control. So she definitely has experience to running a kind of secret shadowy kind of empire of her own, so she definitely has experience in it, and she has Jeon from her fighting ring and Razor Fist from the original 10 Rings by her sides too, so she definitely knows what she's doing. So I cannot wait to see what she does. And I think I did kind of think about it after the first time I watched the movie, but then I think now at this point I've kind of come to a pretty kind of solid conclusion that she has no, she has no reason to turn it to actually keep it the same way it was, because I think she herself was not evil. She ran like an underground fighting ring, but then people signed up. She didn't really invite anyone. She did not invite or pull in anyone who didn't want to be involved. She literally, people joined after they found out about it, and the people who joined were people with their own abilities, with their own skill sets, and people who believed they could fight. So people who wanted to fight, she they were let in. So she it was illegal in the sense it was like an underground fighting ring, but then she didn't really kind of pull in or force innocent people to actually fight for their lives or anything. So because of that, I think I'm like kind of like conflicted between like whether or not she's going to keep it as evil and as shadowy as it was, or if she's actually going to try and remodel it into something new and into something maybe either more positive or maybe something more neutral. Like maybe she wants control, but she's going to kill the right people to get it, people who actually stand in her way, people who are actually evil, and people who think they're better than her, but then she won't really go out of her way to just kill anyone who looks at her funny, or anyone who just anyone innocent either. So Yeah, but Xialing taking over the Ten Rings, and give it to me. Give me that series. Give me that 10, that 5, 6, 7, 10 episode series. Give me that series. But yeah, no, yeah, just again, I'm just reacting to Meng'Er as Xialing too. Just wow, she is a queen. She is a queen who knows no bounds. She's a queen whose power is unparalleled, and her success knows no bounds. Her story too, like her story, like her father wouldn't let her train with the boys, so then she watched what they would do, and then she taught herself to do it even better as well. She became one of the mightiest fighters in Talo's final battle, and one of the mightiest fighters in that story, and in this story. And then even when she was 16 too, she did the same thing that Shang Chi did, and she like ran away and started her own criminal empire. Because then she even said, like, her dad wouldn't let her into his empire. So then she was like, okay, fine, I'll start my own, and I'm gonna make it just as big as yours, if not bigger. So she did exactly like everything she wanted to accomplish in life. She accomplished everything she wanted to accomplish in life because of her own determination, her own knowledge, her own skill sets, her own tenacity and everything. So she did everything she wanted to do, and potentially even more too. And I think she also, I think after she realized that Shang-Chi wasn't even coming back, she just kind of she realized that she needed to, and she wanted to live her own life. She wanted to live her own life. She wanted to go her own way, and that's exactly what she did. So she actually found peace, actually, working for herself, working by herself, and actually, not that the sight of him didn't still bring her pain, but still, she eventually learned that she needed to move on, and then she was more than strong enough to actually do that and to actually make her own way in the world and everything. So so Xialing is a queen. Su Xialing. I'm still, again, like the pronunciation again, it's kind of rusty for me. I think it's like the XU is Su. But I think part of me also feels like it needs to be a very, very quick pronunciation too. Like you can't really slow it down and say it, because then it doesn't sound right. So it's like, Su Xialing or Su Xialing. So yeah, you need to actually get the stuff. So yeah, I'm working on it. I guess I'm working on it. So yeah, Meng'Er, she is amazing. She portrayed this character like no one else. And I think I think to think that also, like, this was her first major project too. Like I think she might have done some smaller projects in China, but then this is like this is her first actual feature film debut, like the first big kind of massive like Hollywood scale kind of like movie that she's ever done. Like this is the first like big scale project she's ever done and stuff. So to see that this is where she starts off within the MCU. She actually starts off within the MCU, becomes a household name, becomes this kind of big of an actual star, and it's just her ability to actually portray a character that well, to actually make you fall in love with her character that well, and to actually make you feel for her character, and actually portray it, like actually help portray a story so rich and so fluid in its kind of emotions and its action and its drama and everything. Just she did that. So yeah, Meng'Er, Xialing, all just all amazing. Just both of them amazing women. So yeah. And yeah, different other kind of tidbits about the lore of the movie and like its kind of place in terms of lore within the within the MCU just kind of got me thinking too. So it's like like Talo and Kunlun, I don't think, especially like that, them being different worlds too, because I think Kunlun was also like displayed and presented to be that kind of alternate kind of dimension, or alternate kind of alternate dimension, or alternate universe. Like you couldn't, like, I think like it was actually like an actual portal connect, like a portal, like a breach between space and time that was connecting Earth to Kunlun. Like Kunlun was not like a place on Earth. It was a place that looked like Earth, but not a place on Earth. And it was like a whole different dimension with its own powers and its own mysticism. And Talo works in almost exactly the same way too. Like its entrance is also like an actual kind of magical, deadly forest, and then there's like an actual kind of more beautiful kind of like park-like scenery. Then there's the whole water portal too, and then you have to drive through the water portal, like an actual portal made of water, connecting you to Talo. So Talo itself is like another place that looks like more ancient Earth, but then it's also like its own dimension. So all these different kind of worlds connected through the multiverse too. So that kind of thing is really interesting. And I think this was just kind of like an expression and just like some kind of like sentimental phrasing said by Ying Li, but then even her telling young Shang-Chi that you know, you have the heart of the dragon too. Like you have the dragon's heart. And I think, of course, in Iron Fist, like the heart of Shao Lao, the dragon, is what gives the Iron Fist and everything. So I think, you know, it kind of got me thinking about that and how similar like those kind of displays and that kind of lore is. And I mean, we don't necessarily see the actual dragon in Iron Fist or even in Defenders when they explore. I mean, in Defenders we see the dragon's bones, we see the bones, but I think in this one, I mean, with this one obviously being like a movie budget, then being able to actually kind of pull off that kind of effect and that kind of visual, we actually see the Great Protector is still alive, and he's just kind of swimming around in the water of Tarlo, and then finally when the great battle comes, the Great Protector rises from the sea and fights its way through, and you know, does the whole thing. I think again like so much of it actually reminding me of like a little bit of Aquaman, except, you know, obviously, you know, character differences and actual story differences too, but you know, this one, the young boy returning home to his true home, to his mother's home too, to his actual mother's home and stuff, and I think that take on that too, I think what gets me kind of, you know, again, I think but also like what got me thinking about like Wen Wu's story too, like Wen Wu's story, like Tony Leung, just rewatching this just reminded me of how good he is with his portrayal of Wen Wu's pain and his kind of his story too, like him going from this almighty conqueror with all these different names and all these different kind of exploits and all these different kind of adventures of power and like power gaining, and him conquering different kingdoms and different like different peoples and everything, and then eventually once he's conquered everything, like, you know, he even got to a point in 1996 he got to a point where it was like, you know, he's conquered pretty much everything, he's got all the wealth and power that he could need, and yet he still feels like he wants more, and then it turns out the one thing he's missing his love, like a person to actually share that with in a more neutral and a more positive way. Like he doesn't need someone else to conquer the world with. He just needs someone else to show him a bit of love and warmth, and someone to show him companionship, and then sooner rather than later some romance as well. So then he meets Ying Li, and I think that scene too, that fight scene between him and Ying Li, that is love. That is love in the style of combat. That is love in the style of actual fighting. And it's like, you know, like so many people have used that kind of gif of that guy. I think in like some anime, like that guy saying like, you know, I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass. Like saying like that is the exact representation of Wenwu in that one fight. You know, like from then on, he's just in love with Ying Li because he meets this woman so fluid and so vivid in her own ability to handle herself and in her own ability to fight. But then she's also so capable, so kind of able to actually to handle him and to handle the rings and to even use the rings as well. Like, you know, I think the color shifting of the rings too, that kind of got me thinking of like, you know, how like you know, how like the color of the color of the rings could also be somewhat representative of the wielder themselves too. And I think for Wenwu too, I think thinking about it now, I've just noticed that for Wenwu, it's more of like an icy blue. It's more like an actual icy kind of like a lighter icy blue, which I think represents the fact that he is all about power. He's all about power. When he fights with the rings, there is, besides from rage, especially in the scene against the Iron Gang, besides from rage, there is little to no emotion when he uses the rings. Like for him, it's all about power. It's about strength. It's about dominance. He doesn't feel anything for the person that he's fighting. He just kind of fights them and hopes to win, and you know, aims to win and everything. So for him it's an icy blue, but then for Shang-Chi and for Ying Li as well, their one is like a more kind of a more vibrant kind of like gold, like a gold orangey kind of vibrant kind of orangey kind of gold kind of color. And for them, I think for them that is their spirit. For them it's their spirit and the warmth of their spirit too. For them, you know, especially like for Ying Li, we see her, you know, like freely and fluidly utilizing her environment, doing some like kind of like pseudo airbending, and for her like actually using her being able to control the rings too. Like for her, the rings are little to nothing more than than a defense. Like for Wenwu, it's purely offensive. For Wenwu, it's purely offensive because then he always strikes first. He strikes hard, and he always strikes, and he doesn't really need to defend because he makes sure that his strikes are, you know, unrecoverable and stuff. So for him there's that. But then for Ying Li, like for her, it's like, you know, she doesn't use the rings to ever attack him. She just kind of uses them to blow him away and to blast them back and everything in relatively harmless ways. So then for her, the power of the rings translate her purity and her warmth and her spirit and like the power that she has from Talo that enables her to fight the way she does. So that kind of color differentiation and that kind of actual kind of display too. Like for him, his strikes and his usage of the rings is always more violent and bashful and very, very kind of like him actually lashing out. But then for, as we see from Shang-Chi and And for Yingli, like it's always a lot more fluid, like the rings rotating around them and flying around them and flying and like levitating in circles, and them actually using it to kind of just like pass it back to him, and instead of actually throwing it back in his face, actually just kind of passing it back to him, but then also kind of using it as like an offensive, like a non-lethal offensive tactic too, and everything like that. That kind of display was really good to see. Speaking of the Ten Rings too, I actually did read somewhere that the in the comics at least, the Ten Rings were originally connected to Fin Fang Foom. In the comics, I think I'm gonna have to check them to see for myself, obviously, but I think I've actually read it in like a couple of places that in the comics the Ten Rings are actually pieces of Fin Fang Foom's ship. They're actually pieces of a ship that get disconnected, and then they fall to Earth, and then they become those. And I think to think about that, that's actually really good. That's actually kind of weird too. To think that the rings are like pieces of like an actual super advanced spaceship too. Like, and I think that to think about the way that things work, I think. To be honest though, the way the rings are in the comics too, like the Mandarin's 10 rings in the comics are also very, very different, because for one thing, they're actual finger rings. Like in the movie, they're like arm rings with pretty much two very basic kind of skill sets, like they grant you with super strength, but then also with immortality, like the gift of eternal life. In the movie, it's super strength and immortality that Wenwu's gifted with, that allows him to live for generations upon generations and everything, so there's that. But I think in the comics, I think the Mandarin's rings themselves are actually finger rings that fit onto each of his fingers, including his thumb. And then they're also elemental. Like each ring has controls a different element, or like a different kind of kind of mystical kind of element. Like some control ice, some control fire, some control water. Like elemental rings and different kind of life forces too. So I think the Mandarin's rings in the comics are super duper different. So they kind of changed it quite drastically for this too. But I think with this one, I think this like these rings being part of like a spaceship would actually kind of like feels more kind of accurate too, like with these rings just kind of being tools and components. But then also, if that is the case, I have to imagine that because they're rings that also do kind of really easily fit onto your arm too. I wonder then if that's the case. I wonder then if no, I don't know, because then I feel like if they are part of Fin Fang Foom's ship, then these rings would probably easily fit onto Fin Fang Foom's fingers too, because then these rings also, like the visuals of them actually fitting onto the arm, like them initially kind of like when they're not being used, they easily just kind of clump at the bottom and just wiggle around with no power, but then when they're activated, they actually kind of spread out along the arm, but then they resize themselves as they go too, so like the ones at the back of the forearm actually get bigger, and then the ones at the front actually get smaller, so they actually mold around the arm pretty kind of perfectly too, so there's that. So then I wonder then maybe if if Fin Fang Foom wears them as the rings, as the comic Mandarin would, maybe they actually kind of minimize around his kind of little claws and his little kind of fingers too. So, and then I can't help but wonder exactly what kind of role they would have on the ship. If they are a piece of a ship, then exactly what kind of function they would serve if they actually do kind of do anything. Because obviously when they're being used by humans, they kind of grant you with like super speed and like an enhanced kind of like a very enhanced kind of lifespan as well. So it's very interesting. So I'm hoping that if that is true, then hopefully the Shang-Chi kind of sequel does kind of allow for Fin Fang Foom to be introduced into the MCU, and actually allows for the rings kind of origins, and especially like with that post-credit scene too, like with the Avengers not even knowing exactly what the rings are or where they come from, or like like what their true history is. The sequel could definitely kind of offer like a much richer, much deeper history to what the rings are, what their true power is, and where they really come from, and what they can really do and everything. So there's a lot to explore and a lot to think about. So, and another kind of another thing I've heard about people kind of like actually noticing exactly like how thorough and how rich Wenwu's Tony Leung's portrayal of Wenwu is that like another kind of a tidbit that someone actually noticed was that Wenwu let his kids run away. He didn't Wenwu not only let his kids run away, but then he didn't even actually bother to find them until he actually started getting the suspicions that his wife was still alive and that he could find her. And it's because all along he thought he was what was wrong. Like they were running away because of him, because of what he became after they lost their mother, and like who he reverted back to being before he met her. So then they just couldn't deal with that. So then his son ran away, and then his daughter ran away. So then he just kind of let them, he just thought he was what was wrong. So then he just kind of and he knew deep down that the Ten Rings like ruthlessly. It was what he was destined to become. So then he just let them go. He let them go. But then at the slightest hint that his wife was still alive, and that his wife, the one who changed him and literally birthed their family and their kind of new kind of happiness and their new peace into existence, you know, at the first sign that she could have been alive and that she could have been trapped and needed rescuing, he then actually thought, you know, okay, now we have a chance to bring her back and to bring some peace and some kind of prosperity back into our lives. And then he only then did he actually try and actually track them down. I mean, he did it in manipulative ways with like luring them with the postcard and then actually kind of hunting them down and everything, but still, that's the only time he actually did that. So I think it's a great kind of portrayal of of Wenwu's kind of character too, where like, you know, he has easily spent so much more time being Wenwu, being this mighty conqueror, being this warrior, being this fearsome person that people fear because of his power, because of the rings, because of his reach, and because of how large his kind of role and his kind of, albeit secretive position in the world has become. Because of all that, he's become this fearsome warrior. He spent so long like living within that shadow that when he meets Ying Li, everything changes, but then everything changes for him, but nothing changes for anyone else. Like, you know, like for Ta Lo, they still see him as this mighty conqueror that's going to bring nothing but sins and trouble to their and I think like, I mean, they weren't entirely wrong either. Like, they literally weren't entirely wrong, because like, you know, like years and years later, the Iron Gang did return to actually seek vengeance after they managed to build themselves back up from what Wenwu had destroyed. They sought revenge and stuff, but then to be honest though, that kind of thing, like the Iron Gang likely would have still had the motivation to do that, and they still would have tried to do that. But then, if Wenwu and Ying Li had taken their kids and they were living in Ta Lo instead, the Iron Gang never would have found them. The Iron Gang probably never would have actually knew to go to this mystical deadly forest and to look in Ta Lo, and I think like they would have been that much safer being in Ta Lo. But then because Ta Lo judged Wenwu based on the history and because of the brutality of his history too, like they thought, you know, like he's gonna bring nothing but trouble to us, and that's what we can't afford and stuff, and also because of who he was and what he had done, they thought that he just kind of inherently wasn't worthy of having a place in the home. So I think they gave her the ultimatum of like, you know, you break up with him, or if you want to go with him, you can, but then you leave Ta Lo and you take him with you and everything. So, you know, seeing that, I think seeing that kind of pain too, like I think deep down he has that pain of never having been accepted by her people, but only being accepted by her and stuff. So then because he holds that kind of grudge against Ta Lo, like, you know, you judged me before you even got a chance to know the new me, like you judged me based on who you thought I was, instead of actually, you know, doing what Ying Li did and actually getting the chance to know who I had now become because of her. And maybe even actually trusting Ying Li's effect on him too, like actually maybe trusting that Ying Li was actually positive enough and actually influential enough to have a positive effect on him. But then but then instead actually giving her the same ultimatum, like, you know, you either stay with us or you leave with him, but the choice is yours. So there's that whole thing. But then when was gonna portray Tony Leung's portrayal of that too, like I think him immediately kind of diving head first into all the research he possibly could when he actually heard the Dweller in Darkness actually impersonating Ying Li in his voice in his head too. And I think I forgot what the original connection between the Dark Gate and the Ten Rings was, but then the Ten Rings being as powerful as they are the only things actually capable of actually knocking down that gate and everything, which he did. And of course, I think the kind of like the dialogue from the Dweller in Darkness too. I think I love how they executed that. Like how, to begin with, how vague it is, how like specific to Ying Li it is. I think not even specific, but like how vague it is, where it's like it's easy. I think it's vague enough that it's actually easy for Wenwu, in the midst of all of his pain and in the midst of his kind of still constant kind of growing grief, to actually still fully kind of fall and fully believe that it's actually Ying Li reaching out to him. So then after all of that, he sets out on the mission, but then by the time he finally gets to the gate and by the time he finally lets the Dweller in Darkness out, all of that vagueness is gone. It's explicit. It's literally the Dweller in Darkness itself actually saying, like, you know, let me out, I need to be free, I need to kill, and doing all that stuff. So I think I love how they executed that kind of stuff. And then, of course, I think the one thing that people have definitely analysed and actually kind of identified very, very strongly and actually kind of made very, very clear is that, you know, like the kind of it's not even hidden. It's not even like a hidden thing within the story. It's actually just kind of like the obvious storytelling of like in the opening scene being when we're discovering this new power and this new spirit and identifying this kind of new kind of love between him and Yingli in that scene, like the slow motion of her actually kind of swiveling him around and like the slow motion like close-ups and everything, like the eye contact and the face-to-face shots and him slowly going from this cocky kind of conqueror to this kind of smitten and love-struck kind of, you know, kind of fanboy almost, and then of course more tragically at the end, like him fighting Shang Chi and like actually discovering that same spirit and discovering those same moves within him. And I think it's like for him, it's like it's painful to have. I think it's more painful to have that knowledge, because then it's not until it's too late that he actually realizes that, you know, that Ying Li's spirit was in his children all along. Like she left their teachings and her spirit, and she left her teachings and her spirit and all of her kind of love in them. So then, you know, everything he sees, you know, I think easily one of my favorite scenes and one of my favorite shots being him going from the wielder of the Ten Rings to then him actually holding his baby boy, him actually holding Shang-Chi as a baby when he's first born, and stuff, and like him actually just kind of spending time with him, and then him and Ying Li eventually having a family too, and actually having 2 kids and like playing with them. It's like and it's like that scene of them actually practicing the Chinese martial arts, but then them also actually playing video games together as a family and having fun, like that kind of those parallels of them doing different things as a family and them actually kind of growing and fostering this love between them and doing all these things. And then again, for him, the pain of like not realizing until it's really too late that, you know, his wife was with him all along, living through his children. Yeah, his wife was actually with them all along, and actually seeing like the exact same like spirit and mentality and love that he fell in love with being kind of actually fostered and being kind of nourished through his son as well. And also like him not eating, and also like Xialing saying, you know, like her father couldn't even look at her when she was a child because she reminded him too much of his mother, which is then has like a whole new level of pain to it too. Like she wanted nothing but, you know, she wanted like the kind of affection and attention that she deserved from her father, but then because she was the only girl in the family and she reminded him so much of her mother, like you know, he couldn't even bear to look at her without thinking of what he'd lost. And also like his own grief of having given up the rings, because then he thought, you know, if he had still had the rings, then he would have been able to protect her and he would have been able to save her. But then because of the life that they diverted from and the new life that he chose, he was completely unprepared, and he was completely it was unbeknownst to him that they'd come back and done all this stuff. So then he can't really bear to think of himself as anything other than what he used to be, because what he became was what eventually kind of like became neglectful of his old life and his past life and everything. So then his enemies came back and his sins came back, and he ends up punishing himself for his sins by raising his son to be the next him. So there's just so much character stuff. There's just so much actual, like, you know, like you go back and I think I'm pretty sure if I watch this like a third or fourth time, I'm gonna notice something else. But you know, it's like there's definitely like a lot of stuff you notice, but then whether or not you retain it is up to whether or not you have like a good enough memory to retain it. But then it's like, you know, deep down there's like just so much kind of character stuff and so much kind of story that you just kind of you can easily miss the first time around, but then once you go back into it, you appreciate what they're trying to do even more, and you appreciate exactly the kind of story they're trying to tell between the characters and within this world and everything. So just hats off to them. So many hats off. And also like the progression of the relationship between Wenwu and Shang-Chi too, and especially in that final battle too. I think obviously like the journey starts off with him being hopeful and him being open and him actually detailing all the plans to his kids, but then them opposing and him kind of naturally kind of reverting back to being the kind of controlling and very, very kind of powerful father and everything. But even that scene of him gaslighting Shang-Chi too, like him actually having grounded him, having floored him, and then being like, you know, you watched from the window as they killed your mother, like him actually gaslighting him, who was 8 years, he was, you know, like you know, like below 10 years old at the time, a child who could do little to nothing, him gaslighting him into believing or even thinking that he could have actually done anything to actually stop them, and then him being like, you watched from the window as they killed your mother, you did nothing, you stood by and you did nothing. And then, you know, that scene, like, you know, like when we're being the more controlling and more kind of demanding and more kind of dangerous kind of figure in that scene, but then also like Shang-Chi finally having the kind of guts and the strength to fight back and being like, you know what, the one thing we needed after she died was union, was grief, like unified grief, like the ability to actually heal and to grieve and to, you know, mourn her loss together. But then instead, he reverted exactly back to who he reverted exactly back to who he was. Like, you know, Shang-Chi's line of being like, you know, we lost her and you chose those damn rings over us. You chose the rings and your power and your organization over your own family, over your own kids, and you use your kids to, you know, turn, like, you know, you turned your own kids in, or you turned your own son into up, and you completely neglected your daughter, and you left her to her own devices, and she became more powerful than you realized. But then he completely weaponized his son, and he, you know, became Batman, essentially, actually using his own grief and his own kind of pain to project that onto his son and turn his son into his own kind of into his own kind of more humanized 10 rings and everything. Just God, all this stuff just comes pouring out, and you start to realize it, and it's just so good. It's so well done. So yeah, and yeah, again, the Asian culture, the Asian representation. I think in my review, I did kind of talk about like Katie, also like Katie being the most human, being the most kind of civilian person in the story, like her and her background as well, like you know, she you know, having the mother who, you know, who exclaims that, you know, she didn't like migrate just so that, you know, Katie could, you know, spend the rest of her life being like a valet, or like or having what seems like a low kind of paying job either. Like, and actually her being like, you know, I traveled, I came here, I worked hard so that you could have a better future. And then Katie, you know, and Katie even having like a pretty kind of strong educational background too, like she did kind of graduate with like, you know, high qualifications and high honors and all that stuff, but then she still kind of ends up kind of not really fit, like not really finding, or like not really kind of like looking to find a job that actually fits that. But then rather, I think, you know, like on the one hand, having a job that she actually still does relatively enjoy, she does kind of like enjoy the ease and the kind of like the comfort that she herself finds in the simplicity of her job and stuff. And, you know, like, I mean, being a valet can still kind of have its own struggles and hardships, but then also like her not really knowing what to do either. I think initially her telling the woman in Tyler that her telling the woman in Tyler that she usually picks something up, tries it out, but then abandons it halfway through. I think initially I took that out to be like a thing of like ADHD, because then that's exactly how I am with certain things, like certain projects and everything, in and outside of work and everything. But, you know, but then, you know, upon also kind of like reading from other people's experiences with it too, it's like, you know, it's also like more accurately and also more kind of like relatably, it's like her actually just not really knowing exactly what she wants to do in life from a young age. Like she has all these qualifications, she has a rich history behind her, but then looking forward into the future, she doesn't know exactly what she wants to do. She doesn't, and it's like that paired with her kind of her family's expectations that she needs to find something to do. She needs to find her life, she needs to settle down, she needs to actually even Waipo actually asking her, Shang-Chi when him and Katie are gonna get married too, like expect like just like finding a male figure in her life and automatically assuming that, you know, they're gonna get married. No, of course, Shang-Chi being the only other kind of Chinese male figure in her life too, being like, oh, they're already suitable, they're already perfect for each other, let's just get them married and hope that the bloodline continues with them. So that kind of expectation and stuff like that. And even Shang-Chi also kind of being like, you know, we're not like that, we're just friends, we're just really great friends, you know, we've been, you know, together like that for 10 years and we just kind of appreciate each other and love each other very platonically and everything. That kind of stuff was easy. It was easier to spot afterwards. It was easier to spot afterwards, and after seeing other people actually kind of pointing that out, like, oh yeah, this is very familiar, this actually makes more sense. And then on the one hand, it kind of does make me wonder how they would actually go about doing the whole Katie and Xialing kind of relationship thing, because I mean, the movie already wasn't allowed in China. I think this movie from the get-go already wasn't kind of released in China because of Simu Liu's kind of comments towards China and the government and that kind of and his own family's kind of struggles actually growing up there and living there and everything. So I think because of that, the Chinese government took that personally and then said, okay, we're not going to release the movie here. So I think already, but then LGBT content as a whole too hasn't really been looked upon too fondly in China and in many other kind of Eastern kind of countries too. So because of that, I'm not really too sure if they would be able to greenlight a sequel for like Chinese release too, like if the Chinese government would be persistent and be like, no, we didn't release the first one here, we're not doing the second one here either. But then I think if they did include a relationship between Katie and Xialing, then they definitely wouldn't do, because I think they definitely wouldn't, because I think, you know, if that relationship did happen, then it would be pivotal. It would be pivotal between them. I think. I mean, unless they just kind of queer bait from the beginning, and unless they do it in a way, it's like, you know, oh, it's like not an official relationship just yet, but then it's just like subtle hints that lead towards that, and then that just kind of gives the naysayers even more leeway. Like, oh yeah, this was way too subtle to be a real thing. It's not even real. It's not going to happen. So stop doing this, that, or the other, and then. Yeah, I think that's either of the two ways it can go. It's like, it's either going to be so subtle that they can either just cut it for the actual international releases, or it's going to be not released anyway, so then that gives them even more leeway to actually do an actual proper kind of like a well fleshed out relationship. But you know, the people want it. People do want it. People do want it. The director himself has said that he's completely open to actually exploring this, and he himself even sees it. I'm sure the actress is can see the value in this too, and they can see the kind of clear kind of background to it too. So, you know, Katie and Jarling, you know, give it to us, give us Katie and Jarling, give us the awesome archer with her awesome, you know, lasso, dragon scale bladed lasso kind of girlfriend and everything, like give us that at least. So, you know, they are just incredible characters in their own right. They have such kind of strong progressions in the story as like evolving people and as kind of growing people and everything. So I think, and they both have pivotal moments in this kind of final battle, and they both help save the world and worlds from the Dweller in Darkness. So Katie and Jarling, you know, I mean, that opening scene alone, just like there was no, you know, straightness identified in that opening scene, like their first introduction, nothing even remotely straight about that scene whatsoever. So, you know, so yeah, Katie and Jarling, make it happen. I think because this is also a rewatch, I think the way it's going to be edited is also going to be a bit more kind of maybe a bit more drastic and a bit more kind of different from like what the reactions usually are. So this is a rewatch, just kind of keep that in mind when you watch it. So if it feels different, if it feels weird, then that's why I think it's definitely kind of meant to. And even watching it myself and actually having filmed it as an actual reaction, definitely fundamentally felt kind of different too. So hopefully it still works. Hopefully you guys still enjoyed this, and hopefully you guys still found some kind of entertainment value in this, and hopefully still related to it, and were able to watch this as an actual reaction and everything. So hopefully it was fun, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the movie at home too. Hopefully, like, you know, like however you're watching it, if you're watching on like, you know, watching on Disney Plus, however you're watching it, you know, hopefully you guys are still enjoying this too. And if you have like an IMAX suited display too, then hopefully you're watching in even bigger and better quality too. So yeah, but I love this movie. I absolutely loved it to bits and pieces. So I cannot wait to see what the future of this particular story holds, and what the story holds for future characters too. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how things progress from here. Seeing Shang-Chi joining the new Avengers too. If he actually joins like a new Avengers lineup, so seeing him join them will be really cool too. So yeah, that would be cool. And I think anything else, I'm not really too sure. Any other details? I think minor stuff. I think I did question at one point if the Red Room assassins had ever come into contact with the Ten Rings assassins, because I think they're both kind of incredibly shadowy and incredibly secret kind of like assassin organizations. I think I did question as to whether or not they crossed paths. I don't think they personally did, or I think in the future I don't know if they personally will. But then I believe I think yeah. So I think the widows are still out there. I think the Red Room has been shut down. The Red Room has been shut down because it was shut down after Civil War, as we saw in Black Widow. But I think the assassins are still out there. The assassins could still be out there, maybe being newly mentored by Melina, and probably exclusively by Melina, because we saw in the present day, Yelena is under the new kind of employment of Valentina. So maybe but then I actually didn't catch it the first time around, but I think this time around I actually did catch. I think that there was actually one fighter in Jarling's kind of more kind of like lesser kind of fighting rooms. One of them was actually I think what looked like an actual widow. I think she actually looked like an actual widow assassin with the actual red belt and the black suit and everything. So I think that might have been a widow assassin who was fighting someone else with like a special suit or special powers or something. So I think the widows themselves might be out there, but then the kind of the cause they fight for and the way they fight and exactly what they fight for is definitely going to be different too, because I think the Red Room is gone, so now I think now they can choose exactly what they fight for and if they fight too. So I think now some of them might have gone on to fight for greater causes, some of them might have gone on to fight for different causes, and some of them clearly went to kind of compete in fighting rings and actually earn money that way. So yeah, but then I can't help but wonder if maybe at any point in history, maybe if the Red Room assassins and the Ten Rings assassins ever actually came into contact with one another, and if they ever actually fought to each other. So I think that would be an interesting thing to kind of reference or explore in the future. So that could be fun. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have for now. So I say for now, I'm not really gonna make like a third viewing video of this, but. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, but yeah, that was my official rewatch of Marvel Studios' Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So, thank you guys so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode, on what you thought of the movie, and what you hope to see from the future of Shang-Chi and its characters, and how you hope the story will progress, and all that kind of stuff, and what you enjoyed and everything. Again, full-length rewatch over on Patreon, so you can go check that out over there. And yeah, that is it. So, I will see you guys next time.